Michael Patrick Shields is on the air.
Good morning, world.
Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Wednesday to you. It's Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan at 7 minutes after the hour. We have politics for you today. We have some lifestyle stuff, too. We're ready to go with Gary Austin, the anchor man, who's with us right this very second. And before he gets going, there's a lot of debate taking place now about this deal the president made to extend the Bush-era tax cuts to everybody, not just the middle class. That means the nation's wealthiest people will also maintain the tax cut that was put in place. But in order to do that, the president had to get everybody, especially the Republican lawmakers, to go ahead and approve an extension of the unemployment benefits because a lot of people are still searching for a job. Michigan is the state with the second highest unemployment rate in the nation. So Governor Granholm was talking about how extending unemployment insurance is the right thing to do. Here's what she said.
We have 181,000 people whose unemployment insurance will be expiring over the next little bit of time. You got a new Congress coming in. We would have weeks, if not at least a couple of months, of complete chaos for those families.
So it's a 13-month extension of unemployment insurance. Is it a wash, is the question that we will ask Congressman Mike Rogers a little bit later this morning, who will be joining us. The White House officials also, and we'll ask him about this, are making their final push in support of the DREAM Act as lawmakers prepare for a possible vote on the bill as early as today. Here's the thing. The DREAM Act would allow qualified illegal immigrants under 30 years old to become legal citizens in exchange for 2 years of military service or college education. The bill faces a filibuster. Republicans have promised to block any legislation unrelated to taxes. They want to get down to brass taxes, if you'll pardon the pun. At 10 minutes after the hour, veteran Republican Congressman Fred Upton, we're reaching out to him too, because he said that repealing President Barack Obama's health care overhaul will be his top priority as new chairman of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. He apparently is going to be in that very prestigious role when the GOP-led House takes office in January. The chairmanship lineup for the new session of Congress to convene is going to be confirmed today at a full meeting of the Republican House members. And Fred Upton leapfrogged over the top Republican on the panel, Joe Barton of Texas, because he wanted the job. But it will be Congressman Fred Upton as the chairman of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. That's prestigious. And he's a great guy, very friendly guy, and we'll chat with him a little bit later. The state has announced, by the way, that it's convinced a wind turbine manufacturer, the first to locate in Michigan. It's a Saginaw plant. Over the next 2 years, Northern Power Systems is going to build 13 wind turbines with a combined $70 million worth. Each one of those is going to produce 2.2 megawatts of power. That's enough to power 2,200 homes. It's a big day for wind, and that'll create hundreds of jobs in Michigan, so we're very, very happy about that. And let us make Andy Levin, the acting director of the Michigan Department of Energy, Labor, and Economic Growth, our Northwood University leader of the day. Northwood University is celebrating 50 years of producing leaders, and Andy Levin, who has been on the program, is right out in front in this one, as Saginaw will be the wind leader in the nation right here in Michigan. Lawmakers narrowly approved tax hikes in Ireland as a part of the most brutal budget in history, $8 billion slash in tax plan imposed as a key condition of the nation's international bailout. And they're going to have some austerity there in the Emerald Isle. President Barack Obama, if the election were today, would win Michigan versus Sarah Palin, versus Mitt Romney, and even versus Rick Snyder. Yeah, believe it or not, they polled 1,200 or more Michigan voters, and they did this matchup. But what if the election were today? And for all that talk about Sarah Palin and even Rick Snyder and Mitt Romney, if the election were today, Obama would win. Even though there was the big Republican tsunami in the election statewide just a few weeks ago, the GOP, I guess, doesn't have a strong enough candidate, somebody with enough positives to beat him. Guy who's running again is Grand Rapids Mayor George Hartwell. He announced yesterday he wants a third term, as mayor of Grand Rapids. We're going to talk with him, too. He's a two-term mayor now, and he wanted to make his intentions known so that anybody else who wants to run can throw their helmet into the ring. And it's, the sort of thing that the mayor wants to do again because from the neighborhoods to the business community, he says tax incentives will help bring close to $2 billion in new investments to the city since he took office, and he says it's a fantastic job. One of the things that he may want to do is to drop the regulations on taxi cab rates. In Grand Rapids, the city sets the rates, and they've decided that the rates are going to jump 4.3% next year. Now, it was a tight vote. The Grand Rapids City Commissioners okayed the move 4-3, and Grand Rapids taxi rates are the second highest among Michigan's largest cities. And now the question is, should the city really be setting the rates? Mayor Hartwell wants to consider dropping those regulations, and we'll ask him about that too. But in any case, the rates are going to go up. More jobs, by the way, coming to Grand Rapids. The City Commission voted Tuesday to approve tax breaks for Kellogg's Keebler Bakery on 28th Street Southeast. And so the company's going to move production of the Special K crisps from a bakery in Illinois. 45 new workers, 440 people already work at that bakery. And so will we be able to smell the baking of the Special K crisps in downtown Grand Rapids. The Dow lost 3 points yesterday. NASDAQ gained 4, and the S&P gained just under a point. Key forecast calling for growth in the manufacturing and services sectors in the coming year. Is manufacturing making a rebound? We heard maybe there are no manufacturing jobs coming back, but maybe not. Who knows what to believe anymore. Speaking of Grand Rapids and the movie business, actress Jenna Dwayne Tatum is a star, and she's in Grand Rapids. I guess she is, and it was her 30th birthday. She's making that movie with Bruce Willis and everybody else, and she was filming some action scenes outside Madcap Coffee, and somebody sent her a birthday present from a Grand Rapids Singing Telegrams, and Ray Simon was dressed up as Lester, a nerd, and the setup was that he was supposed to be a fan waiting outside all day long for her. And they said, this guy's been waiting and waiting and waiting. Could you please come out and meet him? And she said, yes, of course. And she realized it was a setup. He was there basically standing there in his underwear, and he dropped his pants and all this and that and whatever. And he did one of those funny singing telegrams. And he's also a sales representative at Preferred Toyota. So we'll get in touch with him this morning as he played this joke on this actress, and everybody had a good laugh. She got punked. That's what I think they call it in the modern vernacular. 16 minutes after the hour right now. Speaking of beautiful women, we never let the birthday of a beautiful woman pass without taking note. Kim Basinger. Is she really 57? She is. Charlie, she's been in so many movies. L.A. Confidential and The Natural, 9.5 Weeks, 8 Mile, Batman, Charlie St. Cloud. Kim Basinger is 57, and Terry Hatcher is 46. A lot of people say she looks like State Senator Gretchen Whitmer as the lookalike. Her credits include Desperate Housewives, Lois and Clark, and Tango and Cash and Spy Kids. But right now, Desperate Housewives is where you find Terry Hatcher. She do that Superman show, too. That was Lois and Clark, right? Michael Patrick Shields, glad to have you with us this morning. Here's Gary Austin with a minute and a half of his favorite news.
Well, Michael Patrick, let's start with this. You know, there were some folks in Lenawee County who were hoping all this hunting would pay off, and now we've heard word that a woman at a donut shop in Ohio, of all places, actually said a few days after those 3 kids, those 3 Skelton boys were reported missing, she said she saw them in the donut shop where she works. And she called police, and boy, they're investigating this, as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. However, now we have in Morenci, Police Chief Larry Weeks saying, boy, don't get all excited over this, because there's concern false hope will get people, excited and pumped up.
Yeah.
Boy, they could really, they're really close to finding these 3 kids, but apparently we're no closer to finding them. But when we hear stories like this, that they were actually seen and they were okay, they were quiet, didn't say much, according to this woman in the donut shop. At least they were alive, and I think that's the important thing at this point anyway. So
when
the
was
hunt
that?
continues. That was a few days after they were reported missing. So, I mean, it's a positive. You got to say that. But police, of course, are talking with her and anybody else who may know anything about the disappearance of those 3 Lenawee County kids.
What a happy result that would be if at Christmas time, if we could get the news that they're okay.
I'll say, absolutely. The case involving Julian Assange, Michael Patrick. Boy, this is really a strange case.
Yes.
He's the founder of WikiLeaks, as we know, and he's in a heap of trouble. Let's put it that way. Some alleged sex allegation charges. He was arrested in England, and now there's a woman saying that she was involved in this, a potential rape. Those are the allegations. Now someone else is coming out and saying the same thing. So he's got some legal troubles, and he's vowing a doomsday plan, releasing a whole bunch of information, he says, if anything happens to him.
We'll talk with Congressman Mike Rogers from the Intelligence Committee about that next hour. Thank you, Gary Austin. I'm Michael Patrick Shields. We're going live to Washington when we get back. 24 minutes after the hour on Hump Day Wednesday, it's Michael Patrick Shields, heard on radio stations all across the state of Michigan, and glad to have you with us if you're listening in Mount Pleasant or Petoskey, Traverse City, Hastings, Lansing, Saginaw, Manistee, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Ludington, Michigan, and all the cities in between, or if you're watching on Fox 47 television, very nice to see you. I'll be over at Firekeepers Casino later this afternoon in Battle Creek if you want to stop by and say hi. Check the Baccarat table, around 1 o'clock. I'll be there, and I'll see you there. In a more formal sort of appearance, I'll be at Walnut Hills Country Club in the Lansing area, if you happen to be around. It's open to the public tomorrow night from, let's call it happy hour, 5 till 7, where I'll be signing copies of my new book, Invite Yourself to the Party. There will be a little, it's sort of a wine and appetizers greeting there in the Copper Restaurant, it's called. It's open to the public, and it's at Walnut Hills Country Club, and you can find all the details at inviteyourselftotheparty.com. It'd be very, very nice to see you there. Even if you don't want a book, just stop by and say hi and have a drink from 5 till 7 at Walnut Hills Country Club. Completely open to the public and a very nice setting there. So that's from 5 till 7 on Thursday. If you are looking for a family vehicle and want a 2007 Chevy Suburban for less than the Blue Book value, Hyundai of Lansing and Cheryl Freeborough are willing to offer it to you at $27,990. Now, this is a $60,000 vehicle for only $27,990, and it's got just about 40,000 miles on it. It's parked in front of our Gillespie Group storefront studio this morning because I have been test driving it, and let me tell you, this is a vehicle in which you could put the hockey bag and your 6 kids if you wanted to. There's 3 or 4 rows of seats, and so it's ready for the tough winter. And when you sit in it, you are definitely the king of the road. 2007 Chevy Suburban. It's a bronze exterior and black interior, and it's less than the Blue Book value. So snatch it up before someone else does. And in my test drive, I know it's going to come to an end soon, because when somebody sees this car, they're going to snatch it up. But it's available now with Cheryl Freeborough at Hyundai of Lansing, wherever you are in the state. If you want to think of a Christmas gift as a trip to Stephen L. Marvin Salon and Wellness Spa, I think whoever gets that gift would smile. You can pamper your loved ones this holiday season with a gift certificate to Stephen L. Marvin or a holiday gift set from Aveda. That would be a day at the spa being pampered. That'd be pretty good. Manicure or pedicure, maybe a massage. Call Stephen L. Marvin today at 517-694-7788 or visit them in Holt on Cedar Street, wherever you are in the state of Michigan. It's a pretty nice idea to send the one you love to the spa, because if mama's not happy, nobody's happy. Now, the big question is, that deal that President Obama made, is that one of those deals where nobody's happy and that means it's a good deal? Leaders in the nation's hardest hit areas are weighing in on President's framework for compromise on tax cuts, also the unemployment extensions. And our governor, Governor Granholm, you know, she's the outgoing leader of a state with the second highest unemployment rate in the nation. She is grateful to the president for being now what they're calling pragmatic. She says the damage from extending the unemployment, from not extending those unemployment benefits would have been horrific, and the compromise was needed.
We have 181,000 people whose unemployment insurance will be expiring over the next little bit of time. You got a new Congress coming in. We would have weeks, if not at least a couple of months, of complete chaos for those families.
So now we got a 13-month extension of unemployment insurance and a tax cut, the continuation of a tax cut for everyone across the board, even those they call the wealthiest Americans. Daniel Stone is with us, a senior reporter for Newsweek magazine in the Washington Bureau. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
So let me get this straight. Now that people like Governor Granholm are calling the president pragmatic, I guess he was pragmatic, but it sounds like to me his hand was forced to extend the tax cuts to everybody in return for that extension of the unemployment benefits. Is that all sort of a big wash overall?
It is, and that's kind of how he designed it. He said, this is going to be a real-life Washington compromise. Everyone's going to give up something, and no one's going to be happy. And he was getting a lot of flack yesterday from both his party and Republicans who said, wait a minute, we're both getting shortchanged here. And he said, we could fight, we could have a political fight all day, all year, but the truth is this is a pragmatic choice I'm making because at the end of the year, a lot of people are going to be affected by this, and I want to minimize the damage. So we're going to cut a little from both sides, and hopefully, everyone comes out a little ahead here.
So it's just raining down money across the country, right? With the extension of the tax cuts and the unemployment benefits, we must be flush.
Essentially, that's what it is. And both the Democrats and Republicans, they rallied a lot about deficits and we cannot afford spending anymore. But that's what this does. It shows that no one really cares about deficits. The tax cuts are going to add several $100 billion to the deficit, as are the unemployment benefits, going to add a smaller amount. But still, this is money that is not paid for. But certainly during an economic recovery, it's hard to argue that tax cuts and these unemployment benefits cannot help the economy continue to recover.
It is politically distasteful, though, isn't it, to go ahead and back the extension of tax cuts for only the middle class?
Right, exactly. And that's the tack the president was taking for several months now. Republicans fought him tooth and nail. And it's pretty notable that even despite being the minority in both houses, they got their way. They wanted the full extension for 2 years of these tax cuts. That's exactly what they got. All they had to give up were these unemployment benefits, which Democrats had wanted too. So that's kind of the nature of this compromise, that both of them got some of what they wanted, but had to give up some in the process.
Nobody is unsympathetic to the fact that it's tough to find a job. The unemployment in Michigan is nearly 14% or something like that. We know it here maybe better than anybody. However, there are people who say that, most of the time when somebody finds a job, it's when their unemployment benefits are just about to run out. Now, with that extension, isn't that sort of, a disincentive to find a job?
That's true, and that's exactly why Republicans had opposed the plan for several months. They said, wait a minute, if people's unemployment benefits run out, that's the greatest incentive to get out there and find a job, find any job. But the president had argued, and he was successful in doing so, that, wait a minute, it makes economic sense to pull the rug off these people, but when you look in the eye of one of these unemployed persons, when you think about, them not having the tools they need to look for a job, it really doesn't do good things for our economy to just, set them back even more. So he said, let's keep them in the game. Let's give them a little more time. Hopefully by the time these run out 13 months from now, those people will be on much better footing.
Nobody wants to be the Grinch at Christmas time, eh?
Exactly, and that's the problem because, 2 years from now when these tax cuts expire again, remember, we're going to be in a presidential campaign. This is going to be a campaign issue, and Congress is going to be up again. It's never popular for either party to talk about raising taxes, and that's what they're going to have to do 2 years from now. It's hard to see a climate where either party can really address these tax cuts and really tackle the deficit because it's going to be a lot worse 2 years from now.
What's the next big hot issue in this lame duck session here?
Well, the time is ticking. There's only a few more.
Yeah.
The president still wants to get ratified the START treaty, the nuclear arms treaty with Russia. And if he has his bones about him, he's going to try to go for the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Those are things that he's tried not to compromise on. He wants both of them, and he's only got about 2 weeks for them. So I think they're going to go after START first, and truly I think they'll get START done. I'm not sure about the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal.
Is the healthcare reform his biggest victory in his first 2 years in office?
Yes, Yeah, it very much is. And during a press conference yesterday, he said, he addressed healthcare, and he said, if you're saying with the tax cuts that I'm compromising too much, just several months ago with healthcare, you were saying I wasn't compromising enough. That was my biggest accomplishment. I'm glad we did it. And even though we didn't get the public option, remember, this is what he was telling his fellow Democrats, even though we didn't get the ideal with the public option, what they wanted, it was still a major accomplishment. He said, this is something Democrats had wanted for 100 years. I'm proud to be the one who had done it.
That's funny because it may be his biggest accomplishment, but it might be his biggest negative too, huh?
Yeah, he's getting a lot of flack for it. Over the past several months, there were a couple lawsuits. One of them got dismissed about the individual mandate, but certainly the legal questions are not over with health care. He's saying it's great we got 30 million people access to health care, and Republicans are saying, that may be the case, but the way it was done was not exactly the most transparent, and certainly with the individual mandate that requires everyone to buy health care still doesn't sound constitutional. So we'll be hearing about health care next year, and probably in the 2012 election as well.
You get to go to Hawaii with the president on his vacation to cover that?
I'm not that lucky. Not quite.
Bummer. Aloha to you, Daniel Stone. We'll read you at Newsweek.com.
Same to you, Michael. Thanks.
Thank you very much. 35 after the hour. Back in a flash. Man alive, you want to talk to somebody who has accomplished something cool. We're going to do that right now. His name is Tom Rickoff. He's 66 years old, and he recently retired from Hewlett-Packard in Grand Rapids, and he wanted to stay active. A lot of people say that, they just want to have new challenges. They want to invite themselves to the party. Well, Mr. Rickoff is with us this morning. Thank you for being available.
Thank you.
How are things?
Morning.
How are things in Silver Lake?
Great. A little snow yesterday, but that's why we live in Michigan, to see the snow.
Oh, really? You like that white, fluffy stuff, huh?
Yep.
So, okay, I want to ask you, what did you do to stay active after you retired?
Well, I've always been, I guess, active physically, and I love outdoor things. Probably my favorite love is kayaking. So I just did a lot of kayaking, then some mountain climbing, just different things like that.
But there is one major event that we're reading about this morning that maybe, people can't necessarily relate to, but you took it on and did it with flying colors.
Yes, I rode my bike across the country, from Santa Monica, California to St. Augustine, Florida.
That is something else. I mean, there are people who dream of driving across the country just to see what it looks like, and there are people who sit in airplanes for 4 hours and look out the window. You took your bicycle and rode all the way across the country. Yep,
with the help of my wife. My wife, you say people drove across the country. We purchased a truck camper, and we have never had a truck camper before. We never camped before, never drove trucks before, pickup trucks. And so I accomplished riding a bike, but she accomplished driving a truck across, too. So it was an experience for her, too.
That's Becky Rickoff. What did she think when you came to her with this idea?
She was 100% behind it.
Is that right?
Never hesitated. Said, yep, let's do that. It sounds like a good idea.
You went from sea to shining sea, from the Santa Monica area, the pier there maybe, all the way into America's oldest city, the very first city, St. Augustine. What was the toughest part about the trip, and how long did it take?
We were gone for about 90 days. I actually biked for 45 days. It was not a marathon-type race.
Yeah.
We wanted to kind of go across the country, see part of the country we haven't seen before, and enjoy it. So I'd bike about 60 miles a day, 5 days a week. So I biked for about 45 days. And on the weekends, we would find some local activities going on. We'd like a fair, or during the fall festivals. And then we'd find a church on Sunday to go to, and we just kind of relax on the weekends and bike during the week.
Did you blog or tweet along the way, or let anybody know where you were going to be? Did you have people waiting for you in certain cities?
No, we had nobody waiting for us. We've met a lot of great people, though.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the exciting things about the trip was the people that we met. And I did blog. People have said, well, you got to send us out a daily message. That's not going to be sending out a daily message. But at the end of the week, we did put together a log of our activities for the week and highlights, and we sent it out to people that we knew and friends.
I guess one of the challenges that I would think of immediately is that you have to sort of plot your course very carefully and use the right types of roads, right?
Yes, there's an association called Adventure Cycling Association.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd never done anything like this before.
Yeah.
We've not camped before, truck or my biking was like local biking, nothing overnight, anything like that, long trips. And I do have a stationary bike in a basement. That's what I've been working out with the last several years. But the adventure cycling, they have maps of different trails, bike trails across all, up and down the coast, across the country. And so I got their maps and followed their maps, and they were very, very helpful. As I gained more experience towards the end, we were kind of just doing it on our own. But to get started and going through different parts of the country, the maps helped us very much.
How did you celebrate when you got to St. Augustine?
Well, it's kind of neat because my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, they had a huge sign that they put together. Not even know they were going to be there. And so we're just, they live in Florida, so we went down to spend the weekend with them.
You know, the Fountain of Youth is in St. Augustine.
Yes.
I think doesn't sound to me like you need a drink from the Fountain of Youth if you're able to do that at 66 years old.
Yeah, it was, I tell you, it was almost like a guided trip, though. I actually biked 45 days. And of those 45 days, only one day was there rain. And I biked, that day, and one other day it rained like for an hour for that day. So most of the time the weather was just beautiful and doing it. And we went down, we biked through the southern part of the country, and it was just, like people kept warning me, said, well, you get into Texas, you're really not going to like Texas. It's just long and hot and stuff like that. Texas turned out to be a beautiful part of our ride. The hills, and we went through the rolling hill part of Texas.
Yeah,
and
the hill
it
country.
just turned out to be, every day was different. Every day was an adventure.
Did you stop in Las Vegas on the way?
Nope. We stopped. My wife had never been to Grand Canyon.
Oh, wow.
And so on the way out, we stopped in Grand Canyon, and that was a beautiful part of the trip, too.
Well, congratulations. It's quite an accomplishment, and thank you for taking us virtually along for the ride with you as you went from sea to shining sea. Tom Rickoff from Silver Lake went from Santa Monica all the way to St. Augustine on his bike, and that is quite an accomplishment. Michael Patrick Shields. John Truscott is coming up next from the Truscott Group. He was the president of the Lansing Chamber of Commerce, ran 3 or more campaigns for governor, including John Engler and Dick DeVos and Congressman Pete Hoekstra as well, political analyst and lobbyist, and he's on the other end of our line. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael Patrick.
I thought of you immediately when I saw this story this morning in the Grand Rapids Press. There was a company called Public Policy Polling, a national firm based in North Carolina, and they polled 1,200 people in Michigan, and they did some matchups for president, okay? They pitted Barack Obama against some of the GOP candidates. The surprising to me result was that if the election were today, President Obama would likely win in Michigan over Sarah Palin, Mitt Romney, and they threw Rick Snyder in there just for fun. He would beat all 3 of them. On the heels of what looked like a Republican tsunami here in Michigan just weeks ago, how is it that President Obama can overcome those 3 candidates?
I wonder about the methodology of the poll. Was it just a phone call, random, push the button sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
The number that was interesting to me was that it's almost tied with Romney, and he's probably the most well-known Republican, and the others really aren't that well-known. So the president is doing okay against people that aren't known.
Yeah, but all that publicity behind Sarah Palin and all that popularity, do you think it apparently doesn't translate to political capital, at least here in Michigan? They like her as a star, but not as a candidate, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, sometimes publicity can be polarizing, too. And I think that's what's happened in her case. People you talk to on the street either love her or hate her. There's no in between. And when you're electing a candidate, typically people kind of gravitate towards somebody that might be a little more towards the middle.
Do you think that eventually a stronger candidate will surface than Sarah Palin? Because right now it seems like that's all we keep hearing about, and then there's a battle within the Republican Party for those who say we'd like to nominate her, but she can't win.
Yeah, there's people like Mike Pence, who's been a very strong congressman, very conservative. I heard from some people from Texas yesterday that Rick Perry, the outgoing governor, or maybe got reelected, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But he is looking at running, very attractive candidate. Does Bobby Jindal from Louisiana get in? So I think Republicans have a very deep, very rich field, and I think you'll see some very strong challengers.
Do you think that Saul Anuzis has a chance to become the national GOP party chair? The Tea Party, I see, backed him after Sarah Palin said thank you, no thank you to the prospect of being the party chair.
He's been working on this for a while. He's been using the social media side of things just very prolifically and very successfully. He's been getting a number of key supporters within the RNC. You know, this is always a very difficult race, but yeah, I do think he has a chance.
There's a story out of Saginaw that the state has convinced a wind turbine manufacturer, the first to locate in Michigan. It's called Northern Power Systems. They're going to make 13 wind turbines worth $70 million and produce 2.2 megawatts of power. That's enough, apparently, to power 2,200 homes. And Andy Levin, who's the acting director of the Michigan Department of Energy, Labor, and Economic Growth, says it's a big day for wind, that there will be, some jobs created by this. What's your take? Is it everything it sounds like?
I don't know exactly long-term what it'll amount to be, but I know that they're working with a machine tool manufacturer up there called Merrill, and they're very, very sharp guys. They know what they're doing. They've been in the wind business for a while doing components. So, anytime we bring jobs, help create a new industry, I think that's very positive for the state.
Okay. Did you stay up and watch the Spartan basketball game last night?
I did not. I had clients in town the last 2 days, and they were about 16-hour days. I was wiped out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I didn't watch it either, and thank goodness we didn't, because the Spartans lost 72-58 at Madison Square Garden. And Darrell Summers had 18 points, and Corey Lucius had 10, but it wasn't enough, as Syracuse, ranked number 7, beat Michigan State, who was ranked number 8th. And it hasn't been a very good early season for the Spartans. They're 6-3, but they keep losing to big-name teams like Connecticut and Duke and Syracuse.
Well, look at their schedule. These poor guys can't get any sleep.
Yeah.
They're playing these late games. They're playing in Hawaii. I wouldn't even be able to hold my eyes open with the schedule that they're keeping. So,
yeah.
When things settle down, they'll get some rest. They'll get back to being the Spartans that we know and love.
Not to mention finals and everything else. And even Tom Izzo is starting to admit that the schedule maybe was a little ambitious. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for the Big Ten season, which I think starts on New Year's Eve against Minnesota at the Breslin Center. That place ought to be rocking on that day.
I would think it should be. Should be a fun night.
See you soon. John Truscott from the Truscott Group. It is 3 minutes before the hour. We are going to talk with Grand Rapids Mayor George Hartwell, who announced yesterday he's going to seek a third term in office via election right after the news. And what does that mean to Michigan and its cities? I'm Michael Patrick Shields on Hump Day, Wednesday. Tomorrow night from 5 till 7, I'll be at Walnut Hills Country Club signing copies of my new book, Invite Yourself to the Party. There'll be hors d'oeuvres and nice time there at happy hour. Completely open to the public if you happen to be in the Lansing area. It's Walnut Hills Country Club tomorrow, Thursday, from 5 till 7, and we're back in a flash. Good morning, Michigan. A very pleasant Wednesday to you. Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan. We talk politics. It's our family business, and we're going to meet a bunch of Republican legislators, incoming and outgoing, in just a minute. But first, on the other end of our line, Mayor George Hartwell from Grand Rapids. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Michael Patrick. How are you?
I'm swell. I understand yesterday you made a bit of an announcement.
I did. I've announced yesterday that I'll be seeking a third term as Grand Rapids mayor. Announcement that was made perhaps a bit early in January for a August primary, November general election, but I thought it was important to signal my intentions to any who might be eyeing the office.
You sure you want to do that?
Well, how else would I get to talk to you from time to time?
Is it a good gig? Have you enjoyed your time?
You know, it's because it's such an incredible city. You know Grand Rapids, you know it well. It's been an honor to serve as its mayor. It's a vibrant, dynamic city, changing all the time, growing, and I love being at the helm.
Do you expect to have a strong competition?
You know, it's pretty early to say. I don't know of anyone who is actively putting together a campaign, but in my 4 elections, 2 as city commissioner, 2 as mayor, I've never run unopposed.
Yeah.
So one can expect opposition.
Yeah, except your record now, I mean, is quite good when it comes to economic development. That's really your biggest victory, isn't it?
Well, certainly it's one of the things I'm proudest of here, that in spite of our state's economy, Grand Rapids continues to grow, continues to thrive. New construction, new development. We've had $1.7 billion in new development, economic development, simply as a result of using the tax tools that are available to us over the course of the past 7 years that I've been in office.
You have done so in a sort of moderate, non-combative way, haven't you? Isn't that also one of your hallmarks?
Well, thank you for saying that. I think so. I mean, we've figured out here in Grand Rapids how to work together. Sure, there's tensions from time to time, but public and private sector work well together. Our record of partnerships is extraordinary, and if you can move forward without fighting, I think that's always a good thing.
I love the quotation I'm reading from you this morning in the Grand Rapids Press, where you say, "The part I hate the most about running for mayor is asking for money." It's not easy.
What politician likes to ask for money? I haven't found the one yet. But on the other hand, if you believe in your vision for your community, for your state, for your nation, and you can articulate that well, I think people want to support good vision, good government.
Taxi cab rates are going to go up 4.3% next year?
Well, the cap on taxi cab rates will go up 4.3. It's we tie our taxi rates to a national index, public transportation index, and it popped up 4.3. So what we find is that 2 of our 3 major taxi companies are already substantially below that cap, but the city does maintain a cap.
You're considering maybe just dropping that next year?
Well, you know, I want to look at it. We back in the mid-1990s, I think it was, we adopted a resolution that tied our cap to this national indicator. It seems that the indicator has gone up much more rapidly, in fact, than rates in the market, competitive market rates. So I think it's time to revisit it and see if it still works, or if there's something else we should be looking at.
Maybe let the market sort of take care of itself in that case.
That's certainly one of the options.
Well, thanks for being available. Congratulations on your decision to throw your helmet back in the ring. And,
thank you, sir. Enjoy talking with you, Michael Patrick.
Thank you. We'll talk again along the way. That's Mayor George Hartwell, who, if he were elected and served out his 3rd term, would tie John Logie for the longest-serving mayor in the history of Grand Rapids. Politics is our family business. State Senator Alan Cropsey, I guess we still call you state senator until January 1st, right?
Well, yes, but, you know, those of us in the state Senate, I've always heard that the custom is once a senator, always a senator.
Yes.
I'm not sure if that's true. It just might be a legend in our own mind.
No, we'll still call you senator. That's how protocol works, right? And State Senator Jason Allen.
That's how protocol has been, but, you know, we're done January 1 and cleaning the office out, getting some things organized. Al and I had and Wayne, a very dysfunctional Thursday with the budget and the lame duck session.
Yeah.
And that was a challenging evening, but we were able to get some things put together. And I compliment Al for his stewardship, kind of running the floor and keeping as much rational discussion as going on. But we were able to get the Pure Michigan advertising plan put together. We were able to get our transit-oriented development packages done, which helps people like Mayor Logie on the future where he's headed. And a lot of sort of dogs and cats.
You know what's interesting to me is that when you have the end of the lame duck session, you went till 4:30 in the morning, right? And when they talk about, maybe this doesn't relate, but when they talk about extending unemployment benefits, wouldn't people get very serious about finding and accepting work if they knew their unemployment benefits were going to run out, just as you knew your time in the state Senate was at a conclusion?
Correct. And then the other thing you've got to look at it is what is the burden on Michigan business? As you know, we own a small business. Frank Foster, who's here this morning, is one of our incoming freshmen, runs a small business. And how do your families pay to make up that deficit that's in our trust fund? The numbers that I had seen take between 3 to 5 years to repay at a minimum. The billions of dollars were overdrawn.
Your family business is evident this morning in the jacket and bow tie that you have on. That's very natty.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Wayne and I will be back selling shirts and ties the week before Christmas. So
You will?
yes.
See that?
We got the label.
There it is.
on
It's
this one.
Captain's Quarters and right on Front Street in
Yes,
Traverse
snazzy.
City. That's
Yes.
very, very snazzy indeed. I heard some of the goodbye speeches were very emotional.
Yes, they were.
Some of them were funny, too, and some of them went on forever in the House, from what I
Oh,
understand.
man, the House. It's kind of like, the Senate was brief compared to the House. I guess
45
one went on-
minutes.
I guess
61.
one on
Over
61 minutes.
61 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
And then somebody put on a show, George Cushenberry, with singing behind him, and he did parody songs.
That was Mickey Switowski.
Oh,
and,
was it?
And Mickey has had a tradition, the last 8 years, to
Yes.
come up with a poem or some sort of prose that he has done for the last 8 years, the week before we go on recess.
Now, and we're still trying to figure out his nationality.
I see.
Because when you have a Scottish day, he joins the Scots. When you have a Polish
Oh,
day,
yeah.
he joins the Poles, and so.
Switowski.
Yeah, Switowski, you'd think it would be Polish.
Yeah.
But he's got Irish and Scot. And
He's
who knows what all
expedient.
of. Oh, he just loves the media.
That's right. He's utilizing it to the best of his ability.
So are you feeling melancholy, bittersweet, excited about your new ventures? How do you feel?
I feel great. After 8 years of the budget situation we've had, and I've been on the Appropriations Committee, it's time to turn it over to somebody else, like Frank, who's going to, I'm sure solve the budget problem. But you've got a new governor.
Wow, there's pressure.
But you've got a new governor who's coming in with new ideas. I think a brand new philosophy that I think Reagan had, for example, and I think it'll take a couple years, maybe 2 or 3 years, but I think Michigan will turn around. I think the leadership that Snyder looks like he's going to be giving, I think Michigan will see a turnaround and start heading towards the top again.
Do you know what you're going to do next?
Yes, I do, but I can't make it public yet.
Really?
Yes.
Are you running for governor?
No, I'm not running for governor.
You can't tell us. When will you be able to tell us?
Hopefully by the 1st of January.
Will it be a job for
in the
which?
Lansing area.
Yeah, and something that we would have you on the program for frequently?
Maybe. It could be that, yes.
Is it in politics?
Yes.
Government?
Yes.
Well-paying?
I don't
No.
know about that. I take a look at the state of Michigan government right now. I'm not sure if there's going to be much of anything well in the Michigan government.
Senator Allen, what about you? Do you know what you're going to do
I
next?
do not know what I'm going to do, but the tape measure has been dusted off at 151 East Front Street.
Very
I
good.
have, been back on the staff schedule. Wayne's heading up committees on committees, so
Yeah.
can't cover as much, but we're back selling shirts and ties, and young Meredith is in the gift wrap department, so
All
we
right.
can always go back and do that.
It's got to feel very Christmassy there on Front Street.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's a great part of the tradition, and that gives you a reality check of what's going on. As much as we like to get up in our sort of legislative world, you got to make payroll. You've got to live by the laws that you've passed, and at times that becomes quite challenging.
And you can take the measure of the people.
That's exactly right.
But you're going to continue to live in the Lansing area during the week?
Meredith will has to complete her 6th grade, and then we'll figure out where our family goes from there.
So during the week, you'll be here with Suzanne?
That's probably the plan at this point in time, but much like Al, let's see where we are in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. You'll get back with us and let us
Absolutely,
know,
sir.
right?
Yes.
State Senator Jason Allen. Now, those are 2 outgoing legislators. When we come back, we're going to meet an incoming legislator and someone who won re-election and who is out front in the State House of Representatives. Congressman Mike Rogers will be with us, too, the Republican from Brighton. We got plenty to talk to him about and plenty to talk with you about at 888-900-9966. If you have questions or comments for the legislators, it's 18 after the hour, 888-900-9966. It's Michael Patrick Shields on Wednesday. 22 minutes after the hour, we are with outgoing and incoming legislators, State Senator Alan Cropsey, State Senator Jason Allen, and State Representative Wayne Schmidt, the Republican from Traverse City, who I'm told is very, very busy these days getting ready for the new administration.
Very excited about it. Working as chair of Committee on Committees, getting everyone's wish list in for Christmas a little early there. I'm expecting them all in by December 13th, and starting to put together how the legislature is going to look committee-wise. So I'm very excited about that. Was very pleased and honored to have Speaker-elect Jace Bolger appoint me to that chairmanship, and working hard. I've got Frank Foster on that team, incoming freshman, so Northern Michigan has good representation on that committee.
Frank Foster, Republican from the Mackinac City and St. Ignace area, and you are on the front page of the Detroit News Monday, December 6th. Senator Allen brought this. 24 years old, you raised $102,000 for your campaign. I mean, how did you do it at such a young age?
Well, we started, I had been in Northern Michigan for 4 generations, but we started with about $500 of graduation money, and so that bought a couple weeks of gas and business cards, and we're able to start the momentum from there. Had some good staff along the way. We campaigned for about 18 months. So, and then the fundraising, it just kind of happened. I'm not a very great fundraiser, but we were honest with people. We had a plan, so we'd go out for 18 months and just talk about it and see if they'd want to invest in it.
Why politics?
Well, my family's, I run a 3rd-generation family construction company. I got a little bit into politics at college, but...
Where was that?
Grand Valley.
Okay.
So I actually had a fellowship in the Grand Rapids Mayor's Office, Logie Fellowship, actually. So worked in Mayor Hartwell's organization. But then went out to Pete Hoekstra out in D.C., interned for him for a little bit, and student body president at Grand Valley. So, but my family's been involved in local politics in Northern Michigan, for 100 years up there. So that's the interest.
And here you are now, a state representative at age 24. I don't know what I was doing at 24. Can any of you remember that?
Yeah, actually I can.
What?
Newly married and hustling shirts and ties.
So that's exactly
opening a hotel up again and all sorts of things.
Who's your political hero?
You mean besides the guys on the left and the right?
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
Very nice of them.
He is a politician.
No, I think Ronald Reagan. There's a lot to be admired there, and especially with the new wave of conservatism that's coming over the country right now. So we could learn a lot from him, and a man with a lot of faith too.
So you've been at Michigan State this week in sort of an orientation program?
Yes, they both freshmen from either caucus are there, and they're bringing in economists, and we listened to MSU Extension professors yesterday telling us for 4 days what we've been campaigning on the last 18 months, that this state's out of money. And that balancing the budget here in 2011 is going to be challenging, and so looking for ways to do that and collaborating.
They didn't put you in front of Charles Ballard, did they?
No, they didn't.
Okay, I'm just wondering. But it was a bipartisan program.
Yeah, it has been. We've been bipartisan these last 3 days, so doing everything together, either social stuff or in lecture and things like that. So it's good to know people on both sides of the aisle, because we're going to have to work together, especially with the budget season.
What about that, Representative Schmidt? There's a lot of talk about that, people working together maybe. We hear that at the start of new administrations very often. Will it be realized this time?
Well, I think it was realized to a degree this last session when you look at it, especially considering that the Republicans were the Fighting 43, only 43 members, and under the leadership of Representative Kevin Elsenheimer, Republican leader, we were able to work with the Democrats in passing budgets that didn't have any new tax increases or new taxes. So in that sense, we were able to work together and really provide the people of Michigan a balanced budget without tax increases. I think you're going to continue to see that. Of course, now we have majorities in both the House and the Senate, and we're going to continue to reach out. I think having Northern Michigan legislators, and of course Senator Cropsey follows this too, is good policy always makes for good politics. And that's why, we've had Jason 12 great years representing Northern Michigan, and quite frankly, representing the entire state. And what's really good is that Frank, we see those similar qualities in him, and that's why it's good. I think you'll see with many of the legislators, it's a great freshman class, and I'll even extend that to my Democratic colleagues. Great freshman class coming in, willing to roll up their sleeves, get to work, and you'll see some good leadership from Northern Michigan.
Senator Allen, who replaces you now as the state senator from your
Former Representative Howard Walker, and Howard is from the Traverse City area. Was involved with as a surveyor, involved in oil production, and so I had dinner with him on Sunday evening. Went through sort of some of the transition issues, and I think is going to do a fine job.
Do you think that Kevin Elsenheimer now wishes he'd run for state senate there?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of hindsight there. I mean, would he have eaten and knocked on a few more doors to pick up those extra votes? I think about that every day on the congressional side.
I bet.
And so I think you've got to take a look at it. Is that if you go back to Jeffersonian principles, that you're doing your job, and then you go home and go back to farming or being an attorney or a haberdasher. You got to recognize from a faith perspective that God has a plan, and sometimes it's hard to be patient.
Let's bring in Congressman Mike Rogers, the Republican from Brighton. Good morning to you, sir. Congressman Rogers, are you there? I think we have to reconnect with him. When you hear that echo, that means that he's gone. We got a lot of things we want to talk with him about this morning, and it's almost a tradition here at this stage to have the state legislature meet Congressman Rogers at that stage. Mr. Representative Foster, is it interesting to get used to people calling you that yet?
Yeah, that's the interesting part. So I just prefer, Frank.
We like to call him Rookie.
Rookie.
May I ask a question? What did you think was the best chicken in your campaign trip?
Oh
gosh.
Well, we know the best spaghetti is at Christopher Columbus Hall.
Absolutely, absolutely, no question.
And
about it.
the best breakfast is in Curtis, Michigan, along with the best parade.
Yeah, I would say that was what ranks right up there.
Chicken dinner. I don't know.
Yeah. It's always the debate between Burt Lake.
That's right.
Or the.
I think Burt Lake.
And then there's a small Polish Catholic church just on the border there in Indian River that is very good as far as things go.
Was that part of the orientation? Sounds like it should have been.
A good senator had sat down with me 18 months ago, and he was actually out to the house turkey hunting.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, first time we met, and so he got there for turkey hunting, and I told him I wanted to run for the House. He said, that's great. I'm going to go out and turkey hunt. And then he came back in a little bit later that night and said, all right, grab a piece of paper. This is what you got to do. And so we made the decision from there, and been hard work ever since.
Let me ask you a personal question. Did you put on weight or lose weight during the campaign?
Well, I want to say I lost a little weight, but I think I probably gained a little bit.
Yeah. I find normally I lose weight because it's just a nervous energy.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
so-
No gray hair
That
yet.
affect my eating habits, though.
No
Well,
gray.
he's young. He can
That's
eat like a horse.
So you're optimistic.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I talked about that plan. I think every legislator has a plan when they campaign, but some of the things that Governor-elect Snyder is talking about, balancing a budget, putting a 2-year budget on the table, are things that I think a lot of people, especially in the Republican caucus, campaigned on. So if we're able to come back this coming August and September and say, hey, listen, these are things that we told you we were doing, and we're doing them.
And then I think if you look at the WJML listening area, things are slowly coming back around. Petoskey, Pellston, Traverse City are slowly coming around.
What's the worst part about being a state representative that you can tell Representative Foster, Representative Schmidt?
The worst part?
Yeah.
Well, from my perspective, and Frank being a little younger and still being single, the worst part for me, of course, is living 2 to 3 nights a week away from my family, my wife Kathleen and my 2 little boys. So that for me personally is the most difficult. Of course, Jason and his wife Suzanne, they prepped me. Kevin Elsenheimer and his wife Ann prepped me. But it's still, no matter how much you say, oh, this is going to be tough, we got almost a foot of snow. Let's see, I left Tuesday, and it was still there. And so while Kathleen's managing the boys, getting to school, she works and such, that extra hand of shoveling the walk and such, unloading the dishwasher, the little things that I'm not around to do.
I don't know. That sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
Well, yeah.
I'd
come home Thursday night and see how nice it is.
I'd be watching the Weather Channel, so I better get down there. Isn't that
she's an attorney,
terrible?
Remember.
That's right. So single, available, legislator, 24. How was your election night? Was it a close?
Well, single, it's true. But I don't know if about available. I don't think my girlfriend looked too
I
on
see.
that, but. It's been interesting. I think there's a lot of people here in Lansing that can pull you in different directions. But again, you got to come back to having a strong faith, being a person of faith, and making sure nothing kind of falters there.
Does your girlfriend have to call you representative?
No. We were opening up some mail last week from a P.O. box, and she said, What is this? Is honorable, Foster? What is this about? I'm not calling you honorable anything.
Oh, she's whispering, remember thou art mortal. Remember thou art mortal. That's what happens, isn't it? Well, it is. I was going to ask Congressman Rogers, it seems like if there were a presidential election today, Barack Obama would win Michigan, according to the poll. They put him up against even Rick Snyder, Mitt Romney, Sarah Palin, and he still wins. How does that happen when we have a Republican tsunami at the state legislature level?
I think it's going to show that we have some more work to do. That
Yeah.
The election, while of course Al and Jason have worked hard, now it's up to me and Frank and the returning class to do the job. I think people didn't necessarily. It wasn't an enthusiastic "Go Republicans, this is what you have," but rather not thrilled with what the Democrats are doing. Okay, Republicans, you've talked about. We did our jobs task force, our agricultural task force. We laid out a plan. The House Republicans. Okay, we're going to give you your shot at it. You better deliver. And I think if we can show, and working with Governor Snyder, Lieutenant Governor Calley, and my colleagues in the Senate, that if we can start to make those strides, get Michigan back to work, I think it's not going to happen overnight. But if we can show that in the next 1, 2, 3 years, and we're making the right direction, I think it'll be much more hopeful for someone like a Governor Romney to post some better numbers and hopefully take back the White House.
In April of 1999 was the first time I'd ever heard of George Bush. We received phone calls. I don't know if you got one from the Gov's office, and they flew us all down to Dallas. And we were working at the front porch of the Capitol. And so my sense is that this is going to be the similar type of situation is when you start taking a look at name ID this early in the polling. We don't have sort of the front runner, even if that, I backed Mitt, and I think but he hasn't been on the scene for about 4 years.
I think you also need to consider the personality involved. I had a political consultant tell me, this was about 6 years ago, said Hillary Clinton will never be president. I said, why is that? It looked like Hillary Clinton was on her way at that point. And this lady said, because people don't like her. She does not come across as a likable person. And she told me, too, when Barack Obama won the nomination on the Democrat side, she's a Republican consultant. She said her heart sank. I said, why is that? Because he comes across, he's smiling, he's youthful. He's everything that people really want in a president. It's almost like a Jack Kennedy type of thing.
Well, you four are very likable, and the pleasure has been mine, and it's great to see you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you.
Merry Christmas.
35 after the hour. It's Michael Patrick Shields. And it's 20 minutes before the hour. The Michigan State Spartan basketball team, as Will Tiemann would say, losers yesterday. Unfortunately, they planked 7th-ranked Syracuse there at Madison Square Garden in that Jimmy V Classic, and they lost 72-58. Durrell Summers led the Spartans with 18 points, and Corey Lucius had 10. Kalen Lucas and Delvon Rowe each added 8. Spartans are 6-3 now on the season. Losses to Connecticut and Duke. And they get Oakland University on Saturday afternoon. It's tough early season for the Spartans. Just a tough schedule is all. So you got to admire them for playing tough teams, traveling all the way to the Hawaiian Islands and down to Carolina and over to New York. And, we'll just get ready for the Big Ten season. Maybe they can get some rest between now and New Year's. Tigers aren't the only team looking to sign Maglio Ordonez. According to reports, the Red Sox are interested. The Red Wings are hoping to break a 2-game losing streak. They've got the Nashville Predators tonight at Joe Louis Arena. Pistons started a 3-game road trip yesterday on a losing note. The Rockets beat Detroit 97-83. Pistons are in New Orleans tonight. And I'll give you a little bit of audio from that Spartan loss yesterday. It was Rick Jackson that dominated down low with 17 points and 16 rebounds. Syracuse led wire to wire. And can you imagine Jim Boeheim, the head coach of the Orange of Syracuse, moaning after the loss that his team didn't play well?
You can't get to be a good team unless you start playing well in a non-conference. And with so many young guys, we've struggled. I mean, we have flat out struggled. This team struggled probably more than any team I can remember. We've got a lot of work to do.
Didn't sound like much of a struggle yesterday, but, he talks like Lou Holtz. By the way, Lou Holtz will be with us tomorrow. He works for CBS now as a college football analyst. As you know, he coached at a number of schools, including Minnesota and Notre Dame and South Carolina, and I think he's an Augusta National member. And he is featured in my new book, Invite Yourself to the Party. He's in parts of 2 chapters, in fact, because he's a terrific motivational speaker, just terrific, and he's got all sorts of energy, and he will join us tomorrow. It's inviteyourselftotheparty.com if you're interested in the book, and we'll be having a book signing Thursday night at Walnut Hills Country Club from 5 until 7, completely open to the public. Hors d'oeuvres and appetizers and all sorts of fun, so I'll see you there. And if you want to check out the rest of the signing schedule, it's at inviteyourselftotheparty.com. And Lou Holtz is featured because, he's a really enthusiastic thinker. There's some enthusiastic thinking going on and some creativity at the University of Michigan because this weekend is the big hockey game, 3 o'clock Saturday, as I understand, in the Big House. Yes, hockey, not football. Michigan versus Michigan State. I guess right on the 50-yard line. Bruce Made is with us, the Associate Athletic Director at Big Blue in Ann Arbor. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How you doing?
We're really going to have more than 100,000 people watch a hockey game Saturday, huh?
Oh yeah, you're going to have more than 100,000. It's going to be neat. The rink looks it looks surreal on the field right now, and it's going to look absolutely gorgeous. What's going to be neat is we're going to start the game in the daylight, and then you're going to see it move into an evening type of setting. So the way that the lights are going to be on the rink, it'll change the way it'll look throughout the game. We're going to have fireworks around the boards, and then after the game, fireworks coming off the top of the 2 levels, the renovated areas that we've had, the new suite levels. So we're looking for a lot of fun is what it's going to be. It's going to be quite an event.
Will there be seats on the field, too?
No.
Okay.
We had some seats. If people did take a look on our webcam, and you can go to mgoblue.com and take a look at the site on our webcam. But no, you will not have seats down there. That would block some of the views of the fans. Right now, there are some bleachers, but that's just for the local hockey games that are being played and some of the kids' games and some of the high school games so people can get down low.
Are there tickets still available?
Well, there were a couple of tickets yesterday. There were some tickets that were handed back, and that was the first time that we had tickets available. We had to stop selling in May, and it's kind of neat because it sold out so quick. And if you want to get on mgoblue.com or call our athletic department as quickly as you can this morning, they'll be open at 8:30.
What is the challenge of playing outside?
Well, I think depending, after you set the rink up, which, by the way, is a challenge right there. The Ice Event Company has come in to do that, and they literally started setting it up the day after the Wisconsin football game. And so they've been working on this for quite a while, making sure that the ice is correct. But once the ice is set, the biggest problems for the game, what we don't really want, is heavy snow or rain. Those are the 2 things that will really, really bother or affect the game. And that's why we're playing it on Saturday. We do have a snow day. We'll call that a snow day because I don't think we're going to get rain set for Sunday. But I think even with light snow, we'll be in good shape. And by light snow, I mean less than 3-4 inches would be light snow. Anything heavy could give us problems. But we're confident the way that the weather forecast has been scheduled that we'll be able to play the game on Saturday because it looks like all the real heavy stuff that's going to come off on the east side of the state is going to come off on late Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Well, it's going to make international news, the University of Michigan right here in our state, and we sure appreciate that and the creativity. And have fun at the hockey game Saturday, and then we'll talk Gator Bowl after that.
That's exactly right, and, we're going to set a new world record on Saturday, and we're excited about that, too.
Go Blue, and congratulations, Michigan State. Yesterday we talked to Rick Comley, the Spartan coach. He's excited about it, too. It's Saturday when over 100,000 people are going to watch a hockey game in the Big House. 10 minutes before the hour. Nice to have you with us this morning, whether you're listening in Mount Pleasant, Petoskey, Traverse City, Hastings, Lansing, Saginaw, Manistee, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Ludington, Muskegon, or anywhere in between. Also, soon Benton Harbor, as I understand it. We'll have more details about that when they become available. It's 9 minutes before the hour. Andy Hetzel is with us, the Vice President of Corporate Communications for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Michael. Good to be with you this morning.
Thank you very much. I know we've been hearing about Blue Cross's commitment to health here in Michigan, and you have some health plans available that people might want to be aware of as they get ready to, renew their health insurance for the new year through their companies or on their own.
We do, and what we're really trying to do, Michael, is put a little of our own skin in the game. We're asking people to become healthier. We're asking them to go out and exercise and to lose weight and to manage their cholesterol and meet with their doctor. What we're trying to do is align health plans that reward these folks for their improvements in their health by lowering their insurance costs. We've got several of those plans in the market now. Healthy Blue Living from Blue Care Network really set the standard. And that plan lowers people's co-payments and deductibles, the out-of-pocket costs they have. If they work with their doctor to improve their health, we've capitalized on that success, and we've got 2 new products out there called Healthy Blue Living Rewards and Healthy Blue Outcomes. And those 2 products specifically align with outcomes: lower cholesterol, lower body mass index, improvements in physical health that lead to lower health care costs, and we're rewarding people with lower out-of-pocket costs as a result.
I guess it's not that different than if you have a good driving record, you get a better rate on car insurance, right?
It's the same type of thing. And for a long time, people were putting in a lot of effort, not seeing a lot from their health insurance plan, and Blue Cross is changing that equation. We're trying to reward people, put a little skin in the game, like I said, and say to them, look, if you're going to improve your health, you're going to use health care less. That's a good thing for you, improves your quality of life, and lowers our costs of running our business, so we're going to reward you with lower out-of-pocket costs.
So the doctor kind of serves as the monitor then of these things? He'd be the one that you go for a weigh-in or a blood test and that kind of thing?
Yeah, we want to make sure that the doctor is involved. The doctor should be the monitor because the doctor and the patient and their relationship is the most important thing to somebody's personal health. We want people to work with their physicians. We want to encourage them to go in for physicals and checkups. And we want their doctors to be actively engaged in helping to manage their wellness. That's the whole point behind our patient-centered medical home, is to get the doctor and the nurses around the physician's office involved in managing people's wellness, not just in treating their sickness.
All right, that sounds like a pretty neat deal. And I would think, too, that it fosters a better relationship between the patient and the doctor when they're actively discussing these things and, for instance, what you can do to get your body mass index down or get your cholesterol reading better.
Anybody can be more successful, Michael, if they have a plan, and if people work with their physicians to have a plan in place to manage their wellness, to improve their health. They're going to be much more successful, much healthier people, and they're going to lead a better quality of life, and Blue Cross is going to reward them through these products that I mentioned with lower costs.
How do you monitor the non-smoking category?
Well, people in these products have to, in Healthy Blue Living, you have to commit to quit smoking, and we have a program called Quit the Nick that can help you along the way. In Healthy Blue Outcomes, that's a different plan, and in Healthy Blue Outcomes, neither you nor any member of your household can smoke in order for you to qualify. Smoking, Michael, is one of the worst things that anybody can do to their body. It almost guarantees that at some point you're going to have a very expensive health condition to treat, and it ruins your quality of life. We're trying to encourage people not to smoke in the right way by putting, again, a little of our skin in the game, lowering their costs, and encouraging them to take that step toward a better future.
But how can you tell if somebody has honestly not smoked? Is there some sort of test?
I don't believe that we put tests in the qualifications for the plans, but we do work with the physicians to make sure that smoking is addressed as part of the overall wellness program.
So you're going on faith, basically, in that category.
We're going on faith, but we're also counting on the physicians and the patients to be upfront with what they're doing to improve their health and to better manage their results. And the physicians in Michigan, we know, are committed to their patients' health. And if you go into your physician and you talk about smoking and wanting to quit, I can almost guarantee you that 10 out of 10 times your doctor is going to want to help you along that path.
Well, we thank you for helping us along our path. And if you want to find out more information, it's bcbsm.com. That stands for Blue Cross Blue Shield Michigan. I hope you'll travel safely today as we get closer and closer to the Christmas holiday. The gift of your health is the best thing I think you can give yourself and your family.
We hope so, and we hope that everyone out there does travel safely. And as we approach the new year, that they make plans to become healthier people next year, and we're going to be their partners in that.
We'll be right here with you, Andy Hetzel from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Thank you very much to the television viewers who are with us this morning. We are going to say so long to you right now, but if you're watching television in the Lansing market, you can tune to AM 1240. WJIM and listen to the next hour of the program. The rest of the state, stay right where you are. We have another hour coming your way, and you can always find us online at MichiganTalkNetwork.com, where you can hear podcasts and connect with us, because it's not over. We're here for the rest of today and, of course, tomorrow. It's Michael Patrick Shields all across Michigan.